Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the ELEC5618 week 13 lecture, which happens to be our last lecture for this semester in this particular unit. And thank you very much for joining us today. Today, we'll be looking at the exam simulation details and also to give you insight regarding the exam and also ask any other question you might have on the exam as well. And then the overview for today's session will be to look at what the activities for this week, both in the lecture and the lab. Also, the unit of study survey, which is already available on Canvas. Please, we would like you to spend some time to have a look at it and then give us your feedback and which would help us to improve. And then also the course materials, which you can also consider for the exam simulation, and then the entire summary for the exam simulation. So for this week, in the lecture, we'll talk about the simulation and also discussion regarding some questions or areas which you can also consider when you're preparing for the exams. And your laboratory session for this week, if possible, is for you to try and finalize your folder for assignment 2 and then see whether you can submit the assignment 2 document as soon as possible. So for the unit survey, please, we would like you to spend some time. It could be 2, 3 to not more than 5 minutes of your time to please complete the survey. It's already available on Canvas. You can have it, you can go through this link, and then the link is available on Canvas. So please, we would like you to complete the survey as your feedback is very valuable to us to help us improve and also to see how we can make much more enhancement across the unit. So please see whether you can spend some time to help us complete the survey. And thank you very much in advance for your time, your support, and kind cooperation. And then when we look at the course material for the exam simulation, so all the documents we have uploaded on Canvas, the appendix documents, the lecture documents, and also all other documents that are available on Canvas would be utilized for the exams. And then I'll be able to give you more information about some certain areas that are very important in addition to other areas you have also in the exam. And then we can also talk about the structure of the exam, the parts, what kind of questions are you looking at, essay questions, multiple choice questions, and then we can talk about them. So the work plan for these on your part is to please review all the materials available for this course. Just have a look at Canvas, see whether you can go through all the materials during the preparation for your exam. And I will strongly recommend that please go through all the materials, create some questions, 20 questions on the materials, and then see how you can go through these questions to answer them. You can also, share your answers with your friends, your colleagues, and get some feedback, to see how you can, continue to, answer, questions from yourself, from your colleagues, and then gradually you'll be able to cover almost all parts of the content for this particular course. So for the exam simulation summary is, we already have the practice exam document, which I will also discuss with you after this slide. And the work plan will be for you to assume like it's your final exams, don't refer to your note. So you can go through the practice exam question after you have adequately review and also revise the documents we have provided for this unit. All the documents we have on Canvas will be very adequate for you to prepare for the exams. And then if you want to look for any other additional information online, maybe questions you want to answer. So feel free to do that as well. However, the documents we have available that are available on Canvas are very much adequate for you for the preparation of your exams in this particular unit. Work on the exam questions we have from the practice exam document for about 4 to 5 minutes to 1 hour, considering the amount of time that we have set aside for the exams. That way you're sure you can actually finish the exam, before the allocated, time. And then please, when you're looking at all the questions, take your time, go through any of your concerns, discuss with your colleagues. If you require any additional support from the teaching team, please feel free to send us an email, and then we'll be very happy to assist as well. But it's very important for you to see how you can, work on those questions. Don't refer to your notes. As soon as you're done, when you look at your note, all the answers are already available in your notes. So please, if you have any questions, please, you can use the chat platform. And also, if you want to say something, please feel free to let us know. But it's very important for you to ask any questions you might have, for the exam. If there's any question you have, this is the platform where you can ask, and also you can also share some information or your concerns with us, and then everybody is aware at least of, what we should be, looking at, and then together we can, find solution to any of the problems if there is, and also we'll be able to be adequately informed regarding other areas or how some of us are looking at the exam. In this case, it could be the perspective in which you and I might be looking at the exam from. So I will now present the other document, which is the practice examination document. Oh, it was the same folder. Oh, sorry. Yes. Thank you very much once again for your time. So here we have the practice examination document. As we're going through this document, I'll also spend some time to discuss about the exam itself, and then to give you more information about some few areas that you need to also take into adequate consideration while preparing for the exam. On this particular page, we have some content that have been written in red. The main reason why we're doing this is for you to understand what the question or what the scenario or what the system is all about. So when you come across similar question in the exam, you can easily underline those keywords, or you can write them down on paper right in front of you, or in the same platform where you're trying to answer the question. Then these are the keywords that you need to take into adequate consideration while answering such a question. So here we have a system that manages information about the patient in a hospital. We have two different types of users, the medical personnel and also the patients, and that the system must allow both types of users to update information. So as you're going through the system, so the first thing you can do is you briefly look at the system, and then you go through all the questions that are applicable to that particular system. And then you can go back to the system, now start looking at a particular question, what the question is asking you to do, and then you relate that question to which area of the system that question is actually focusing on. Each patient has a unique ID, first name, and last name. That means this will be the information that each and every patient will have in the hospital. So for the first question we have, it says, write 2 functional requirements for the system regarding a desired listing functionality. So now you have the patient records. And if you look at the system itself, it says the patient will have a unique ID, first name and last name. That means your functional requirement for the system could be based on the unique ID, first name, and the last name. And then the questions further says you need to take into consideration the 25010 standard. So as such, when you're talking about functional requirement or you're trying to look at the functional suitability related from the particular system you have, you need to relate it to what the functional requirement available in this particular standard. So in a nutshell is when talking about the functional requirement, see how you can relate it to this particular standard, taking into consideration the patient records, which include unique ID, first name, and last name. One thing I will also advise is please avoid adding or removing any information. So in this case, the patient has these 3 different kinds of records. You shouldn't bring in another record because it's not part of what you're seeing that the system has. And then don't try to remove any information if the question asks you to provide or to talk about all the information about the patient. So this content we have in red on this page, they are keywords, they're very important. So take them into consideration while answering the question associated with any system or any scenario available in the exam. And then if you come across a question regarding a test case, you are going to see the template given to you as a hint. And then based on that, you cannot come up with the test case or test cases, in this case 2. So you need to come up with 2 test cases. On the other hand is, it could be possible that the test cases could be related to some requirements, say performance, say security, usability, maintainability, and all the other requirements available. But the one we have right before us here is just 2 test cases. So you can choose to talk about any test case, any 2 test cases you like, irrespective of which part of the system you want to talk about. But please take note, if such a question says a test case related to performance, for example, or security, for example, so your answer or your test cases should be coming from either that security, performance, or usability, requirement. So please take that into consideration. And the template you have been given, the hints, please use all the items available. If there's no any item you feel you can use, you can put in a note there, not applicable, any or anything you feel, at least, we know, okay, yes. Or you don't have, for example, you don't have any, let's say, prerequisite. So that should be fine. So you can just put it there, maybe not applicable, but at least put all that in the same table based on what, you've been given regarding how the the template looks like. So we have a question here that says, does allowing simultaneous updates of patient information be allowable for the functional requirement in Q1? In this case is, in this system we have, the first thing I will do is let's check if we have information or content regarding update of patient information. So as far as we can see here, it says, yes, the system must allow both types of users to update patient information. So that word simultaneously is, I wouldn't use the word there because I can see that word in that particular system, but rather it allows you to update the information. So if you plan to use simultaneous, make sure it's something you can justify. But to be on a much more safer side would be, yes, it allows you to update the information. So whether it's going to be simultaneous, we're not really sure. So as a reviewer, if we look at it very well, is the system doesn't say I allow simultaneous update information, but at least I allow update of information. So if that was simultaneous, may actually, could possibly jeopardize one or two things. So the best thing could be, let's just stick with that update, right? You're welcome. Thank you very much. So let us always, very good question. So let us always, try to stick with the system, what we've been given, because some reviewers may argue, oh, the system I have designed wouldn't allow you to have that simultaneous update. Why some of them would allow you to do that, right? But to avoid, being looking at the system and then you're trying to, argue with yourself, oh, can I do this and all that? Let's just stick with what we have based on what has been presented regarding the system. So please take note of the test cases. It may be a customized one in terms of security test cases, usability test cases. So if you see such ways, you should also try and ensure that your test cases are coming from such, requirements. But for this particular question, what we can see is generic, and then please use the template. If there's no any content you need for your template, you could put it down as not applicable or any. Both of them should be fine. Yes, so these are sample questions. Please follow the work plan and see how you can answer them amongst yourself. But if you're not looking at the functional requirement regarding a particular, based on this system we have, one thing we know definitely is the functional requirement would always be something the system can offer or something the system must offer to you. So when talking about the functional requirement now is you look at it, you ask yourself, what can the system really do? What can the system offer? What does the system need to offer? So the requirements you will now be talking about could be, oh, the system, does this, does that, but it has to be, there's a lot of content in there, but whichever answer you're trying to choose or whatever requirement you're trying to come up with, functional requirement, it has to be based on what the system offers, what the system can do. You can look at the component of the system because, yeah, you can update information, and then, which is something very, very important, and the system can do that as well. So the context or the information required for this particular question one will be what the system can do, and then also take into consideration the 25010 standard. And we'll have a question that says also, will the template be provided during the exam? Yes, the template will be provided during the exam. So if you have to work on anything that has a template, you would always get that hint, and then we'll give you the template that you need. And there's any other keywords or any other acronym, we would also tell you what acronym stands for. So please take notes. And then to recall will be the functional requirement, will be what the system can do, what the system can offer, or what the system does. Remember, there could be lots of functional requirement, but please ensure that it's a functional requirement. And you can see from the system itself, there are a lot of things the system offers, the system can do. So this will be the functional requirement of the system. Avoid adding something new based on what you feel the system can do, but it's not part of the system or is not presented in the scenario given to you. And for question 3, explain the difference. So for the first part of that, the scenario here is, yes, the system, functional requirement, test cases, software requirements, specifications, the application of Agile in this environment, the application of the PCMM in this environment. So these are also very important questions. So as you're reading, you're looking at the questions, you're trying to set some questions for yourself. When I look at this system, I could try to expatiate the questions or add more questions. Okay, what would the SRS look like? What would the, how can I apply Agile in this scenario? How can I apply also the CMM in this scenario or in this particular system as well? What could be the benefit of the CMM or PCMM or the benefit of the Agile development in this particular scenario? So you can also try to expatiate those questions, bring in new questions, more questions, and then you see what could be the answers you might have. So if you come across that in the exam, it's much more easier for you to answer such related questions. And then for question 3, please take note. Explain the difference. It could be explain, for example, differences. Give 3 unique differences. So these sentences are very important and they are different. For a difference, you can easily say quality planning is for this, assurance does that, and control does that as well, very easily. You can use their definitions. You can use the purpose or why they are being used. You can use the usefulness depending on what, the best way you can easily remember on how to, put them down, but please take note that it could be different. And then when we say explain, right? You should avoid just listing out content you feel, okay? You just talk about something very, just one sentence, that wouldn't be sufficient because the question says explain. And when it says explain, you have to provide adequate information to justify what you are talking about. So you can use, if it's just a difference, you can just use one explanation for all the content, or you can use, just ensure that it's very clear what you're providing so that everyone will understand in detail, yeah, this is actually very convincing and this is adequate. Avoid having content that a reviewer will start thinking, what is this all about? Okay, do I have to go out there and look for more information to support the answer you have given? If the answer is yes, that may affect your mark. But when I read what you have provided, I shouldn't say to myself that maybe I need to go and get more information from another source. So it should be very clear and it should be very detailed and it should be self-contained. We also have another question regarding describing each of the stages of the PCMM, which represents the people capability maturity model. You have the initial, repeatable, defined, manage, and optimize. It's very possible that you may not be given these 5 stages in the exam, but you're being asked to describe them. Describe the stages of the PCMM. So you have to be able to talk about the initial, repeatable, defined, manage, and optimize. You have stage 1, stage 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's very important. Take note of that very carefully. Just in case you're not being given, what the stages are all about, you can easily also provide answers to such questions. And for question 5, if you've been asked to describe the type of errors that are detected when static flow analysis is performed on the code. For describing, you can easily provide an information, usually based on how you feel it can be represented, right? So you can choose to go in more detail, but at least provide information that is also self-contained, that yes, this adequately justifies this type of errors in which you have provided. So let's say, for example, I'm trying to provide an error, say, let's say, for example, just random example, let's say data entry, for example, error. So what I want to do now in this case is I have to justify, provide information in detail how this error can be detected when static flow analysis is performed on the code. So I need to present I would usually use a systematic way, talk about, okay, this is a static flow analysis. This is what happened when it's been done in the code. And then if this error has been detected, this is how to describe how the error, be detected, when this is actually performed on the code, right? So I always look at the keywords, provide a little bit of information about them, and then try to relate them together based on the question that I'm being asked. And then we also have, it says, will the final exam format like the similar question, totally 7? No. This is a sample practice examination question. We're still going to come to the structure of the exam. This is a practice question that we have given to you to help you in the preparation for the exam, in addition to all the content that have been provided in the lecture, that you need to go through all the questions in your preparation as well. So this is how you also be looking at how we have prepared the exam, and then how you're looking at them, what could be the questions, and then, okay, describe, explain the test cases, and then you're looking at how questions, could come from these areas, and then also try to build up on this question as well. Ask yourself more questions, set more questions for yourself, and see how you can answer them. What are the differences between the agile development and the PCMM? So what are the differences? That means more than one. In this case, when we're looking at the answer you provided, we're going to check, do you have at least, 2 differences? So these words, all these sentences are very important. Please look at them very carefully when you're answering the question. And then we have seen a scenario whereby some of us would want to expatiate one answer and try to make that answer 2. But in this case, when we read what you have provided, you're still talking about the same thing. So if it's what are the differences, ensure that the answers you provided, yes, they are distinct from each other, then this answer says this, the other's answer says that, at least 2. And then you can provide more than that to make it very, very convincing. Just in case there's something you've missed out, if you have lots of them, it's always very good, at least, to say, yes, you have more than one. If one is not correct, maybe 2 or 3 of them are correct, and then that should be fine as well. So I always advise, when I see in a particular question, I try to provide as much as possible, to the best of my ability, and how, easy you can actually remember all the questions. And then for here, question 7, it says, calculate the cyclomatic complexity of this function. Drawing a graph of program flow and list the independent parts. So in the exam, we don't expect you to draw any graph. There's going to be a question on cyclomatic complexity in the exam. So you can now look at the question and then see how you can possibly answer it, but we don't expect you to draw any graph in the exam. So please, if you come across any question related to this, when it comes to having a code on how you can just have a look at it and then see how you can, answer, list the independent part and also talk about the cyclomatic complexity. Yes, you can write on a scratch, a paper, but please make sure that the paper is right in front of you, right? Please take note of that, right? So, for example, if you come across a question on cyclomatic complexity, right, you can easily, have a paper right in front of you, but avoid looking elsewhere. You're on the computer, the paper should be in front of you and then you're writing, because the more you start looking sideways, sideways all the time, it's going to flag and, it could be the system will talk about something which is, at the end of the day, we just receive that information that something has happened during the exam. So you can have it right in front of you and then write right in front of the system. Avoid turning left to right. So before you start, if you need some extra note, you can put it right in front of you and then you continue working on the exam. If you're writing, you look at the screen, you write, look at the screen, then avoid looking, side, left, right, in order. Yeah, so you might need some extra, some paper to write on. So please have them right in front of you. And then for question 8, what kind of functionality is provided by a test management tool in the area of reporting? So here it could be a very short answer, or it could be a long answer. So for answers that you feel they're very short, you can make them very short. The ones you feel you can provide more information as well, please feel free to provide more information about the answer you feel is appropriate for such a question. So this is the 8 questions we have prepared for the practice examination. Please go through them, see how you can also, expand the questions, ask yourself more questions, and then see how you can, answer them to support your preparation for the exams. And then now we're going to look at the structure of the exams. So in the exam, we have part A, part B, part C, and part D. In the first part A, we have 10 marks. In the second part, we have 25 marks. In the third part, we have 10 marks. And in the last part, we have 5 marks. In this case, you have a total of 50 marks. So we have 4 parts, 50 marks. So what do we have in the first part? So the first part of the exam will be multiple choice questions. We have 10 multiple choice questions. If any question requires you to choose one answer or 2 answers, usually we will tell you choose 1 answer or choose 2 answers. But a question can also say, for example, cyclomatic complexity can best be described as, and then you have options. Say A, B, C, D, and then you can choose 1 from the options. Cyclomatic complexity can be best described as, you can choose 1 from the options given to you. Usually, many of the questions will tell you choose 2 answers or choose 1 answer. I think all the questions, they all have that. Choose 2 answers or 1 answer. All the question will tell you that. And if the question says, for example, cyclomatic complexity can best be described as, you can just choose 1 from the options given to you. So in these multiple choice questions, which also cut across all the content we have talked about in this unit, you try to consider software quality engineering, software quality testing, the standards we have talked about, and also the finite state machines, the Markov chains. So you can also please, and then the software requirement specifications. All these areas are very important. So at the end of the day is the multiple choice, the MCQ question, the MCQs will cut across what we have talked about in this unit. No, there's no negative marking. Once you miss a question is zero, but there's no negative marking. So negative marking, for example, is when you answer something wrongly and then you miss a mark for answering wrongly. No, if you answer something not correct, it's zero. So you don't get any negative marking. Thank you for the question, Anand. So from the 10 MCQ questions, we have 10 marks for the MCQ questions. You're welcome. Thank you, Anand. And then all the questions would also cut across what we have talked about in this unit. And then the part B will now be a scenario question similar to what we have talked about here in the practice examination question. And then you would have 5 questions for that particular scenario. Each of the 5 questions would go with 5 marks each. So you have question 11, question 12, 13, 14, and 15 will be 5 marks each. One thing you could do is, because you have 10 minutes reading time, you can utilize it either start or you read. You can look at the questions and see the ones that are much more easier for you to answer. You can just answer those ones, let go, and then you come back to the ones you feel you have to spend a lot of time thinking about them, looking for how to put them down and all that. So this will actually save you a lot of time. So scenario-based questions like part B, you have to read the question very carefully and ensure that, yes, you understand the scenario very, very well before you start writing what is required for each and every question. Please take note of the keywords. Take note of the sentences. Take note of the question very carefully. You would not be having it the same way you have on this slide, where you have some red content in here, but it's very important for you to identify what are those key contents that are very important for every question and every scenario given to you. So part B is going to be a scenario-based question, 5 questions. Each question has been allocated 5 marks. And that's 25 in total for part B. Part C would also be a scenario-based question that is applicable to question 16 and 17. 5 marks for question 16 and then 5 marks for question 17. This would also cut across what we have talked about in the unit, taking into consideration software quality, engineering, some procedures, some processes involved, and also key techniques that we have used or we have utilized extensively in the unit. many of which we have discussed extensively in the lecture, and we have advised in the previous weeks on how you can address such questions. So please revise what we have talked about in all the lectures to support or to enhance your understanding when you are now looking at these scenario-based questions in the exam. And then we have part D that has been allocated 5 marks. And the scenario in part B, in part D, would apply to question 18 that has 5 marks. This would also cut across software quality engineering, the technical techniques we have talked about in this unit. So part D will focus more on the technical techniques we have talked about in the unit. And then part C would focus both on technical and non-technical, but more of the non-technical techniques compared to what we have in part D. But part C has 10 marks, while part D has 5 marks. In total, we have 18 questions. On this document for the practice examination, we have 8 questions, similar to the 8 essay questions you see in the exams. In terms of the numbers, 8 questions, 8 here, 8 in the exams. That's the only similarity, the numbers, number of questions. And then we have, in addition to the questions we have in the exam, we have 10 MCQ questions that will tell you whether you need to choose 2 answers or 1 answer for a particular question. If you have a question that says cyclomatic complexity can be described as, usually please choose only 1 answer. Otherwise, other questions will tell you either you're choosing 1 or you're choosing 2 answers. We have another question that says, we have 10 MCQs in final exam. Yes, 10 MCQ questions in the final exam, and then we have 8 essay questions. Total, it becomes 18 questions, 10 marks for the MCQ questions, and then we have the remaining 40 marks for the 8 essay questions. Yes, 8 essay questions. What counts or what limits? We have another question, sorry. It says, what count or limits for each of the 5 marks? No, we don't have any word count or limit. We usually look at, have you answered the question properly? Have you answered the question the way it should? If it's yes, it's fine. The quality is much more important than the quantity of how much you put in there. However, ensure that the reviewer wouldn't start looking for additional information. Every information needed for that question every information needed for your answer should be right there in your answer. You're welcome, thank you. We also have a question that says, MCQ questions will have 1 or 2 right answers. Yes, MCQ questions will have 1 or 2 right answers. For every question, we're going to tell you if you should choose 1 or you choose 2 answers. And then for a question that says a technique can be described as what? In this case, please choose 1 answer. You're welcome. So in total, we have 18 questions in total, 10 essay questions, 10 MCQ questions, and then we have 8 essay questions. The MCQ questions will be 1 mark each, that's 10 marks, and the 8 essay questions will be 5 marks each, and that is 40 marks. In total, we have 50 marks. We have another question that says, are the questions shown in this example are simple questions? Well, it's possible they are simple or they are moderate, right? But it depends on you. But these are practice examination questions to prepare you for the exam. What we have been emphasizing on is all the questions in the exam, the materials we have given for this unit are very much adequate for you to answer all the questions in the exam. Yeah, so this possible, these questions in the exam might be simple, might be difficult, but they give you the hint, the idea on how the exam questions will look like. Another question that says, part B has 5 questions. So is it 5 questions based on one scenario, or we have 5 different scenarios? Very good. So part B has only one scenario, and then the five questions are applicable to that same scenario. So one scenario that has 5 questions applicable to it. Please, when you look at the scenario-based questions, look at the ones that you can easily answer, and then before going deep into the ones that might take a lot of time. On the other hand, if you're very comfortable with the scenario question that has a very long scenario, please feel free to start working on that. Right? Manage your time properly, and then you know how much time you want to spend for each and every question. And then when you look at every part, you tell yourself, okay, I want to spend, for example, 10 minutes in this part, 20 minutes in that part, see how that can actually work for you. But you need to have a plan. What questions am I going to answer for? The MCQs or the other ones, or the ones that are I feel they're much more easier for me to answer. And then I go back to the ones that might take a lot of time. We also have said we only have 1 hour, 30 minutes writing time. Yes, 1 hour, 30, correct. 1 hour, 30 minutes, yes, for the exams. Yes. And then is it double pass? No, it's not. Double pass means, okay, no, it's not double pass. Not double pass. Not double pass. Well, regarding using translate, I'm not sure whether you can do that, but please find out from the university, because one thing I can tell you, because the exam is connected from the university centrally, so using translation from the machine, the system might be thinking you're trying to get some answers online. So please, I would advise avoid using translation. But if you want to be sure, please find out from the university whether you can do that. But the system might flag that as you're doing something else, because you're using the prompt to use. So it might say, oh, you're using something else, you're doing something else, and then it might see that something fishy, and then it's going to flag that, and then one might think maybe you're trying to get some information online, which is not really allowed in this particular, exam. If you have to use a translation, please, find that before the exam to be, much more clear if, you can. But I believe the system will flag something, negative or something red, something is really happening, which you don't want that to happen. What is meant by, so double pass usually is, for example, you have to pass the first part of the unit. In this case, you're looking at the assignment and all the quiz, and then you pass the exam. So if you fail, for example, the first part of the unit and you pass one part, it still fail because it's double pass. But we don't have double pass, right? So you don't have to pass the first part of the assignment 1, assignment 2, and the quiz, and the second part is the exam. You don't have to pass all this part, right? We'll just do the 100% total for your marks. So it's not, so this is not double pass. Yeah, so the exam is 50%. And
sorry to interrupt, Professor. Can I ask a doubt?
Yeah, sure, please.
Yeah, so the double pass, so what you're saying is that like overall we need to get 100%. Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah, what I'm saying is this unit is not double pass. So we only sum up all your marks. We look
Okay,
at your
so
quiz marks.
both the internal 50% and the external examination should come up
Correct.
to 100%, right?
Correct. Correct. So it's not double pass. Yes, correct.
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Correct. You're welcome. So the final exam is 50%. And then we already have 50% in the first part. Quiz 10 marks, assignment 1 20 marks, assignment 2 20 marks. So that's 50. Final exam as well, 50%. In total, 100%. Please have a strategy before the exam, please. The last year, many students with a strategy actually, it was much more easier for them to finish the exam before time. And they already plan which questions are they going to target when they get to the exam. Is it going to be based on you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to start with the MCQ, or no, I'm going to start with the essay questions, or I'm going to start with a scenario that has a very short scenario, or a question that has a very long scenario, or when I get to the exam, I read all the questions, I look at the ones that are much more easier for me to answer, I start with those ones. And then I go back to the ones that maybe they might take a lot of time from before I can answer, all the questions. A question that says, if MCQ have 2 correct answers, I only choose one, so 0 mark I get for 0.5, or I choose 0. So usually the system does, let's say, if you choose one, usually it gives you that, answer based on what you have chosen, the one correctly. So I think if you're lucky, you can actually get 0.5 when you answer correctly, That was the same thing we got. 5618. Let me check something on Canvas. Okay, beautiful. Let me check this. Let me stop sharing a bit. Sorry. Hmm. Sorry, I'm trying to check something for the system. The question I'm trying to check based on what we had last exam. You answered correct, correct, correct. That was two questions, two answers. Let me see this. Let me see another one. Go here. Here. Okay, so okay, so you need to correct. Okay, these are correct answers. Yeah, from the way the system is, what I can see here is you actually get some marks, I think, for choosing for a right question, but it's important at least you answer the two questions, correctly. It's much more, yeah, so that you pick the two correct, answers. Showing this one. So let me come back to the chart. We have a question also that says, we write answer in Canvas page, or we write answer in Doc, and yeah, you write the answer in Canvas. Yes, so you go to same platform you have for the exam, and then you write the answer. So you're going to have a particular interface that says additional, like where you can just go and enter, you enter your answer there. And for the MCQs, you can easily select, you click, and then you select, which one is the right answer. Yeah, so all the answers will be written on Canvas. You type and enter, right? So you don't have to write any answer in any Word document or submit it. It's going to be in real time. We need to use ProtoView for supervised exam. Yes. We need to ProtoView. Yes. Thank you, Wanting. Yes, that's correct. More importantly, please prepare your strategy for the exams. Every second counts in this particular exams. So in the first part, you can start also look at the questions much more easier for you, answer those ones, and then you come back to the ones that are much more difficult later, the MCQs. In the second part, part B, is a scenario-based question, 25 marks. So I would advise you spend, a very good amount of time to answer that part. But please also ensure that it doesn't take so much of your time, because you also have other parts, that you need to also answer as well. And then part C as well, you have also another scenario in the question in the part C as well. Yes, you have another part C scenario as well. And the part D, you have the scenario as well, technical, question C, technical and non-technical question. So please have a plan when you go through all the questions, and look at the ones that are much more easier for you to answer. And the time is very important. 80 questions, 10 MCQs, 10 MCQs, and then 8 essay questions. So you may as well, plan, for example, dividing the amount of time, maximum amount of time for every question. And then if you're able to save some time from a question, you can move to that time to a question that you feel it will require more time for you to answer. So it's also a way of having a very good time management, in the exam. Please be very calm when you're looking at all the questions, and then look for the answers that you feel are much more, the ones that are needed, are much more appropriate based on your understanding of the questions. Yes, it's a closed book exam. Yes, you cannot go to other page. Yes, it's 1.5 hours on the exam on the Canvas. Yes, and then yes, if you want to have a paper, please have it right in front of you. Avoid looking sideways, or the system may actually flag one or two things, that in some discrepancies or some issues. So please just have it in front of you, and then spend more time looking at the screen, answering the questions. If you have to use the paper and then come back looking at the screen. But please avoid looking sideways, please. Please feel free to ask any questions you might have regarding the exams. Please don't forget to go through the content we have, the work plan we have provided in the week 13 document, and also look at the sample questions we have here and see how you can answer all the questions to support your preparation for the exams. All the materials we have on Canvas are very sufficient for you to answer all the questions we have in the exam. We have a question that says, could you explain how to install Proctor-U and how it works? So please, for this question, I would advise you contact the University Proctor-U team. Let me have a look at their email. So it's managed by the university. So there's a team that does that. When we do a quick search, let me do a quick search for Proctor-U. There's a team that manages that in the exam, so they will definitely be able to assist you with installing it and giving you information on how it works. And also, yes, I already have the link, so I'm going to copy the link and paste that link. Yes, the link has all the information you need regarding Proctor-U. Proctor-U. Yes, please go through the link. It has a supervised online, when you type Proctor-U Sydney Uni, it gives you all the, and then the link, and then you can see all the information. So please install the Proctor-U, go through the information that I'm provided, try it please before the exams, right? Set up your, the system and then try it as well to be sure it's working before your exam date, please. And I think there's some of the students that might be taking the exam on campus as well, right? I think a limited amount, of space was actually provided. So with that, I think you can take the exam on campus as well. But if you're taking it from home, please ensure that yes, you set it up before your exam date, please. Oh, the spelling is Proctor-U. You can do a search on that, and then easily it gives you, it takes you to that link, and then it gives you that link as an option, and then you can go through that as well. Yes, so for this technical difficulty, so the way the exam has been structured is, if you have any difficulty, any issue, this university has been able to design a mechanism whereby you can easily let the university know the issue, that happened, and they can provide a solution as soon as possible. But it has been improved, from the ESSEC. Every year we try to make the system much more better. So it has been improved very well. But please, if you have any concern before the exam, please feel free to contact me or contact the team that handles the Proctor-U. I'm very happy to forward information to them, and then let's get any feedback from them as well. But as we have been guaranteed that the system, is much more better, and also many of the problems that were encountered, last time in the exam, many of them have been solved. It could be network issue. All these, issues are what comes up, but the system is much more better, and we're very confident that it will serve you very well, for the exam. But please, if you have any concern before the exam, please send me an email, and then or contact the team, Proctor-U team, and then I'm also very happy to follow up with them, to get you as much information as you need, and to give you more comfort before the exam as well. If you have for the assignment, please, okay, please discuss with your tutors in this week. In your laboratory session, before if you have any issue with the submission, or if you have any doubts. Alternatively as well is, if you still have any further that after discussion with your tutors, please feel free. You can also discuss with me as well. So my advice, please, is if you have any issue with anything about your assignment, please make sure you discuss that with our tutors who are in the lab. And then if you still have any doubt, any concern, please let me know, and then we can talk about it as well, please. Yes, on the guest lecture, we have the video. So I will talk to the presenters to see whether they can, upload their slide, and then we can put it on Canvas for you, right? But the if you're looking for the slide, you can have a look at the lecture video. All the content of the slide are already available in the lecture video. So I will talk to them to see whether they can make available their slide, and then we can upload their slide. But in the meantime, if you need the slide very urgently, have a look at the video. All the content from their slide is available on the video. Yeah. So and I will talk to them as well, see whether they can give us their slide, and then we can upload the slide to Canvas as well. No, no, guest lecture is not part of the exam. Yes. So I was applying some direct messages to some of us in this room, and that we also have here a question. When we do part B, C, D, can we change the MCQ answer, or we only have one chance? No, you have the entire time to go back and keep changing your answer. Once the exam time is over, you will not be able to make any changes. So you have the entire time to make changes to your answers. If you choose A, you want to go back and choose B, you can always do that. You have the entire time to keep changing, updating your answer. Once it's the final minute, then you won't be able to go back and make any changes to. Once the time is up, you won't be able to go back and make any further changes. And go back to my sharing of the slide. Yes, there's reading time of 10 minutes. Yes, we have a reading time of 10 minutes. The instructions will be given at the beginning of the exams. Yeah, so you have 10 minutes for reading time. You can use that time to, however you feel is, best for you, but you can utilize the time very well. Yes. Please have a strategy before the exam. Go through all the questions we have discussed in the lectures. Look at all the documents we've provided on Canvas. Have an overview of your project, just in case you need any other additional information that might be of useful or might be of help in the exam. And then we have a question that says, do we have buffer time? The only time we have is the time that has been, the time that has been allocated for the exam. So once you start, exam it starts counting. Please let me know if you have any other questions on the exam. Okay, we have a question that says, can we prepare cheat sheets like paper document? No, you can't do that. Sorry. Yeah. It's a closed book exam, so usually, and also when you have the white paper, I think last year I advised students to always maybe show to the screen like it's a plain white paper, and then you put it right in front of you so that when you start writing, yes, it's white. The way you can show that is fine, just to avoid, the system saying, oh, that's not white paper or something, So if possible, you pick up the white paper, show to the screen, is a white paper, and then you start writing on the white paper. But avoid looking sideways as well, right? And then don't cover your face, right? So you put it as the white, and then you show it as white, and then just like the way that happens whenever you Instagram closes your account, right? And they tell you to write something, and then you put it on the screen, and they say, send me your picture or something. Right? So something similar to that. Just show the screen, hey, this is my white paper, and then you can start writing, put it in front of you, and so you can start writing, and avoid looking, sideways while writing the exam as well. We have another question that says, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Chansey. In the link provided across you, there is a practice exam link. However, my access is denied through this link. May I ask when it will be open for us, or how can I get authorized? So, let me go through the link. Contact the, if possible, the email provided in this particular link. If there's any support you might need using the Proctor U. So when I go to the practice exam, okay, access is denied. Okay, I guess maybe it's no longer available, but please contact the link available on this page to see if you really want to take the practice exam, and then you can try that. And if you're not receiving any feedback, please let me know. I really want to make sure you're comfortable and you're good to go before the exam so that everything is set and you don't have any concern. Beautiful. So now we have been able to discuss the structure of the exam. We have talked about the importance of at least having a plan on how you plan to regarding how you would like to answer the exam, and also the nature of the questions available in the exams, the exam simulation, the practice examination questions we have. So please utilize all these resources. Look at all the materials we have on Canvas. Please, all the materials are very important. Please just spend some time and have a look at them and see if they might be of use. But they're very useful. All the materials are very useful. Please spend some time, have a look at the materials and see, to get to understand, what the materials are talking about, right? Just to improve your understanding, that you have already, regarding, all the materials. It will definitely help you in your preparation for the exam as well. And also, please have a look at your project. Just, a very quick, look, or just browse your project it's a project. Just have a look at what you have done, just to give you a little bit of extra information that you might need, just in case you plan to apply one or two parts of that project, in your exam. Or maybe the scenario that you might even come across might be something that you have done in your project, right? So, and that way, it becomes much more easier for you to provide the answers that are needed for such particular scenario. So please, if you have any questions on the exam after this session that we have, please feel free to send me an email. I'm very happy to respond as soon as possible. And also, please ensure that your portfolio is working before the exam date, please. It's very important. Ensure that it's working, it's set, you're good to go, you're ready, and then you can, start preparing for the, the exam itself, right? So to reiterate again, the major part of it, we have 4 parts. Part A, 10 MCQ questions that cut across the content in the unit. We'll tell you if you need to choose 2 answers or you choose 1 answer. Part B, we have a scenario, 5 questions. Each of the 5 questions, 5 marks for each question. Part C, you have 10 marks, 2 questions. Each of the 2, each question 5 marks, so 2 questions, and that's 10 marks. And then part D, we have 5 marks. In total, we have 50 marks in total for the exams. We already have 50, 10 from your quiz, 20 assignment 1, 20 assignment 2, and that's 50. And then with this 50, it becomes 100. Please let me know if you have any questions on the exams. If you have any concern regarding Protoye, please go through the link. Ensure that your setup is done properly. If you need any support, please contact the Protoye team. If you need me to follow up for you, please, feel free to CC me in the email to them, or let me know if you're not receiving any, if there's any delay, and then I can also follow up with them as well. Okay, please, if you have any concern before the exam, let me know, please. I want to make sure you're very comfortable and then you're very happy to answer all the questions in the exam. You're ready, and then you're not under any pressure, whether your portfolio is not working or there's the structure, you want more information. Please feel free to let me know anything. And then please, your project, ensure that you can submit the project by the due date, if possible, as soon as possible. Before by the due date is fine, right? Put all your contents together. Prepare the folders that you need. You can have one folder, and everybody can submit one folder in your group, right? And then everybody's content is in there to make it much more easier, and also, faster to giving you comment and also marking, the assignment as soon as possible. We also have a question that says, our exam time, just double checking, our exam time total is just 1 hour and 40 minutes. Yes, you have 1 hour. We always say 1 hour 30 and then 10 minutes reading time. So you can call it 1 hour 40 minutes. So we can say 1 hour 30 minutes plus 10 minutes reading time. Let me also do a check on that. Let me do a double check.
Hi, Professor.
Yes, please.
Professor, I just have another doubt regarding the submission of the assignment. So
Okay.
it was given in the specification saying that you need to submit both your, both your assignment as well as the work of your teammates to all the teammates. Like totally, if there are 6 members, I need to submit all the 5 team members' assignment.
Yes. So what the team is trying to do now is to make it easier in terms of reviewing all the document, cross-checking the overlaps and all that. What you can do now is before your submission, right? You can just get like you can have a copy, a folder where everybody can drop his content in there, and then everybody can just attach that same folder if possible. So if in your team is something that can be done in your team, you may want to put all your folders in one folder, right? Whereby, for example, I have a big folder, let's say group 1. And when I go into group 1, I see, for example, Sadiq. I see this, my other, let's say Julia, let's say Nan, let's say Yanli, and then we submit all, But for me, yes, my name is Sadiq, mine will be considered. So in this case is when sorting will be made or trying to check cross overlap in your team, it becomes a lot easier to make that done as well. So that would also speed up in terms of getting your marks easily, because that was one thing that delayed the assignment 1. Sorting all the content, putting them into the same groups. That also took a lot of time, and then cross-checking the overlaps and everything across the groups. So if you can do this, is to be very helpful, to also expedite when the marks will be released as soon as possible.
Okay. And
But I think this is something from the team. If you feel that will be more difficult for you, it's fine. But if it's something that you can do, your team easily, you can have all those things, it's fine. Otherwise, if you can't have it, please, you can go ahead and make your own submission.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Professor, is it the right time to talk about the assignment? I just have a doubt. Like in 2 weeks, the first week is nothing but the week which contains the bottom-up testing.
Okay.
So the bottom-up testing, the problem is that should I have to create a test case for all the methods in the class which we choose?
If you have to, then please do that, right? But if in the work plan, anything that is not available in the work plan, please discuss with the tutors to be sure whether what you're trying to do additionally is allowed. But if it's in the work plan, feel free to do that. If you need it as well, like the test case, like you just said, you need that test case, please let the tutors know that yes, you're bringing a new test case for these reasons, and then you can also bring in the test case as well.
And because the problem is that in the class which my teammates have already selected certain classes, 3 to 4 classes they've already selected, so I am yet to do that. So if I choose the other classes, there are 15 methods or 16 methods.
Okay, I understand that, and then that becomes difficult for you. Sorry.
Exactly.
Okay, in this case I think the best thing to do is let the tutors know in the lab that though you're choosing these, but you're still going to be doing your work separately. So justify how you can make your work look separate from your teammates, because it's not your fault you can't find the class that has few methods, right? Exactly. So the best thing is you should let the tutors know that you're doing this, not because of you're trying to your teammate has done it, but because you can't find any other class that had fewer methods, and justify that, put a screenshot, let them see that, and then that should be fine, and then let them know in the lab that this is what you're doing because of this reason. So put that justification why you have done that and evidence for it, and then I'm very much sure they would okay that as well. If you still have any concern with that, let me know. I think it's very straightforward, because it's not your fault that you couldn't find any class that had fewer methods.
Exactly, because if at all I have to choose a class which has a little bit of methods, then I need to instantiate many other variables, the system variables which would be running, right? So I need to do that. So that is actually really tough for me to figure it out because it's a huge code. The robo code programming, it's a huge one. So finding a instance variable or the system instance variable, it's actually really difficult. So I was just wondering if I could reuse, because even I selected one file, which my teammates did too. So could I reuse that file? And but the class which is implementing or inheriting that file, right? I could change that class. It need not be the same as my teammates one. So that's what I
Yes,
was about to ask. Can I reuse
yes,
it?
yes. As long as the contents are different, it should be
Okay.
fine. There must be something unique about your work compared to your teammates. If
Okay.
that uniqueness is there, that should be fine.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then you show
So
the evidence, why you're choosing that same class because of this. Put the screenshots, and also then make sure that you can differentiate that to avoid seeing the content as the same.
sure. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. We have a question from Chenzi that said, in terms of the essay question, how many words would you recommend for each one? I think for me, I always recommend quality. But if you feel you need to write more, please do. So it largely depends on how much you want to write. But sometimes we have seen some students writing very good, but then when they continue to write more, they actually go out of the question and start talking about something else. So the quality of your answer for the essay questions is very important, and ensure that what your answer is self-contained in terms of whatever you have written. The reviewers wouldn't have to start asking themselves, okay, I need to get some information out there, because that is the only thing we check your answer. We don't look at something outside of your answer, what you have written in that particular space. So please, the quality is very important, and also ensure that what is self-contained. If you have to write more, but please don't go out of context or out of line based on like what you have not been asked, right? That might jeopardize what you have said maybe in the first few paragraphs that you have. So quality is important, and also ensure that all the content you have are self-contained, whereby we don't have to go out there and look for any additional information to understand what you have written. For example, if you have to define what that object is, define it. Provide more information about it, rather than we asking ourselves, oh, what is this object all about? Because then, we can't go ahead and look for any information out there. So please, quality is very important. Ensure that also it is self-contained. Any other question, please? Please, we have also put in a recommendation for the amount of time you can spend in a particular question, right? Or amount of time you can spend on the questions. Just dividing by the number of questions we have. So please just at least have your own plan while going to the exam. Usually, you can have a look at it based on, how, the questions you understand easily, get those ones, across the line, you're done with them. And then you now, focus on the ones you feel you need to spend more time to answer. So it's very important. And then if you save more time, you can take that time you save, and take it into, maybe the essay questions, and then you continue to save more time and then utilize the time in the other areas where you might need the time in the exam. Okay, so please let me know if you have any questions or require any additional information or support regarding the exam. If you have any question, please feel free to send me an email. I'm very happy to respond as soon as possible. It's been an interesting journey together with you this semester. It's been a pleasure working and also learning together in this particular unit. And I wish you all the best in the exam and looking forward to working with you sometime in the future. And also, hopefully, we get to see sometime soon after the COVID and all these situations, all the restrictions have been eased and everyone is back on campus. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Good luck with your assignment 1, assignment 2 project. Good luck with your exam and also good luck with your future endeavors. What we have done in this unit, I believe if you plan to go into software quality engineering, you may, after your exam, look for any simple certification exam, have few readings and then write the exams, right? If you plan to go into the industry, certification is very important because we use that a lot as a requirement when you're applying for jobs. So if you want to go, for example, you want to work with Apple, Google, Yahoo, Facebook, any other companies you want to work with, what you can do now is you start looking at the jobs requirements, and from there you can now figure out what are those certifications they need. And then now you can start looking at them. You ask yourself, the course that you have learned, does this content or do all these contents actually apply to that certification? And that way it saves you a lot of money. You don't have to go and do training over again. Rather, you can just get some few materials from the body and then you go through the materials and also add to what we have done in the lecture and then prepare all by yourself and then give it and then try it, go for the certification. If you pass it very well, it increases your chances in terms of securing a very good job, with the top tech companies you would like to work for. So it's a very important, for you to actually, look into it, see if there's some certification you can do, right? Utilize what we have learned, get some few extra materials from the body that you want to write those exam with, and then you can now adequately, just spend some few days or 1 or 2 weeks, prepare, and then you go ahead and write your exam. So this is also a way of utilizing what you have learned in the classroom, and then also see how you can also immediately apply that to support, your future advancement. We all do that as well. Many of us as well. We try whatever we have, we've learned together with you, teaching and working together, because we're also learning together, from what you have done also in your project, working with you in the classroom, lecturing. It's all about learning from each other. At the end of the unit, we ask ourselves, okay, the certification we want to write, from what we have taught, what we have learned together, what we have done together, can we go ahead and do that? And then we'll do a little bit of preparation and then we can go ahead and write the exam. So see how if this could be useful for you. And if you need any other support in terms of could be your career advancement support, or you need some guidances, or you need some references, you're applying for jobs, or you want to go into PhD research, R&D, you want to work in the recommendation, going to the industry, or there are some companies you would like to work with, and then maybe, we know maybe 1 or 2 persons over there, we can put a word, 1 or 2 words for you. Please feel free to let us know, okay? See us as your colleagues, as friends, and let's work, see how we can all, help each other, towards our future and career advancement. So thank you very much for your time and looking forward to working with you, learning, together, and also, having fruitful, time together in the future. So thank you very much for your time. And thank you very much for your kind support and your cooperation in this unit. I will look forward to working with you, hopefully in next semester, or otherwise, working with you in PhD research or industry project, or maybe maybe work in an organization sometime in the future. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sadiq.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day, and please take care of yourself and stay safe. If you need any additional support, please feel free to let me know. Okay. See you soon. Okay. Thank you.